I'll be back in a minute.
All right.
I'm back.
Mhm. Okay. So who do we have here? We got Richard Grace, of course, first one to sign on. That's good. Book Davies says howdy. David Samard, he says hello, everybody. Martin Eastburn, taking a break. And howdy, everyone. Book Davies. Beatrice Hines is with us. Very nice. Norm Hughes. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Jenny Bedell Shelley says hello. And we've got, who else? Beatrice says hello, Scott. Hello back. She also says hello, Jenny. Beatrice Hines is so nice. Actually, all you guys are. That's great. You guys are a great group. So very nice. And Tyler Bowman.
You're not saying some are nicer than others, right?
Yeah. And
I talked to Tyler earlier. Tyler was working with a customer.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what my power tools do with gravity.
I think they'd have a lanyard on that to keep it from flipping around.
I know. Could have drilled it in the eye. He's waving. Okay. got to be ultra challenging work in zero gravity.
Especially with the lighting changing all the time.
Yeah. Well, hello, everybody. This is Scott Roberts and Jerry Hubbell from Explore Scientific and the Explore Alliance. And this is the 171st episode of the OpenGOTO community. And today, Jerry's going to talk about the Universal Update or Firmware Update tool system. So I always get it mixed up. The Universal Firmware platform, right?
It's so the tool, the newest tool is the Universal Firmware Configuration Tool.
Configuration tool, yes.
Right.
Excuse me.
As opposed to the PMC8 Configuration Manager, which is the previous software that we used.
Oh, I see.
They do two different things, and I'll be talking about both of those items. Do you feel 171? I don't know if I feel 171.
What is it supposed to feel like?
I don't know.
It's supposed to like 169 or
Do you even
170?
remember? Do you even remember what episode 25 was about, or 22?
Do
Do you remember what 22 was like?
Community, I'm sure of that.
Yeah. Do you remember what 22 was like, or 26?
No, but there's fragments of memories of the different shows and stuff that I remember. Most of it's us making mistakes.
I remember the one show where Kent was demonstrating with cameras. He had Explore Stars tablet on his desk. Remember, and we showed the Explore Stars application through the camera instead of screen sharing, because we couldn't do that at the time. I don't even know if we could do it effectively.
We didn't know how to do it, really. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember that episode.
Right.
That one sticks out in my head.
Was that a painful episode for you?
No, it just sticks in my mind for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
I think because I remember before the show, you were dragging things around and moving stuff around to get.
Oh yeah, because we were trying to set up like a place to hang a camera straight down, over the tablet without getting glare off of it, and
right, yeah.
So
I'm sure some of the audience may remember that episode. I don't know.
Yes. Maybe some people in the audience had to go see their eye doctor afterwards. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, I mean, a lot of these people watching the show today, many of them saw some of the very earliest programs, maybe even the first one. And so we really appreciate the...
and that's when I still had my Corona beard. That was goofy looking.
Yeah, you look like Colonel Sanders or something.
Yeah, no, it looked pretty bad. I go back and look at some of those pictures and I said, damn, that doesn't look very good.
Yeah, and then you started wearing like the Zoom, beard.
Oh, the beard. Oh, yeah, I can turn that on.
At first, nobody noticed, and then there was like, there's something a little weird about this.
Yeah, I can do that right now just to show people if they're not aware.
Mm-hmm. So you're perpetually at a star party, right? I mean, I'm always seeing our telescope set up back there.
Right. Yeah, I'm at the. I just enjoy being there. So there it is. That's one of them.
There you go. Yeah, you look cool with that one.
Yeah, that's.
You almost look like Frank Zappa is who you look like.
Oh
so.
yeah. So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
That
Need
look
long
good.
hair though. Need long hair. I'll have to get you a long hair wig. Let's see. Eduardo Simone says he thinks he started on episode 4 or 5. Yeah, Jerry KFC Hubbell.
Oh, KFC. Yeah.
Oh man,
that's funny.
And he says hot rats.
Hot rats.
Chicken fried rats. There you go.
Oh man, chicken fried.
Yeah. And Jeff Wise is calling you Jerry Mundo. Anyways, it actually has been very enjoyable to do these programs and to update and everything. Sometimes we have scrambled at the very last second. I mean, literally at the last second, like, oh my God, something's not working. And
well, that's another episode I recall was when we were delayed like 25 minutes or something, 20 minutes.
yeah. Oh yeah. I did a global star party that we had to like just not do at all because, I didn't have my technology act together very well. And then I had to learn how to do audio, and I'm still looking for ways to improve that. So, but I think
I have a good way. It's called MONEY.
MONEY. That's right. Could have hired someone that actually knows what they're doing.
You could buy expensive tools. You could buy expensive tools and all the other stuff and extra workstations and things.
Sure.
It could be a big production. Like
they have a production team come in here. So
right, yeah.
That would have made it a lot easier.
You
but
could
then
always,
what would I have learned, Jerry? So.
Well, that's the whole key. You don't invest in the highest end equipment to learn something, right? You can invest in the beginner stuff and figure it out and learn it. And then and maximize your skills and knowledge, and then you know what to buy if you're going to move on.
Yeah.
That's funny how that worked out.
Production values have definitely gone up. Yeah, sorry for that painful month after month, dragging my audience through bad audio, bad video, but we did learn. Jenny says, when I first started out, there was a lot of echo, echo, echo. Now you're echo free.
That's good.
Well, that's cool. Well, I'm going to let you, you're going to demonstrate the new.
Right. So the first thing I'm going to do is start at the website.
Okay.
That's actually that's the OpenGOTO community website, which everybody should be on, just as a reminder. And I'm going to start with the PMC8 ExploreStar software and database downloads, PMC8 system downloads page. We keep this up fairly regularly whenever we have changes. So if the way you get there is you go to mounts, and then down here where it says PMC8 software and downloads, do you see that?
Yeah.
So that's that. Pretty easy.
Yes.
And that reminds me, Scott, we talked yesterday. We've been working on some updates to the website. Do you want to talk about that just for a
let
second?
Me show what the new
Okay, I'm going to stop my
page
share
looks
real quick.
like. It will go up any day now, and that's kind of important that we show you. Let's see.
I figured we'd mention it today.
Yeah.
There's new stuff coming along here soon that we're going to talk about. You want to mention it already since the magazine might be out and people getting into people's hands.
Yeah, we have a new ad out, which I will show. Unless somebody grab my magazine. There it is. Okay. Yeah.
So we got exciting things coming along here soon.
Yes. So this is what the new homepage looks like for all the PMC8 stuff. So looks a lot like Explore Scientific's regular homepage, but it's laid out a little bit easier to get to. So to get to all this ExploreStar software, you would go here. If you're going to join our PMC8, OpenGOTO forum on groups.io, you come right here. We have a whole section on getting started. Our knowledge base, you can also go here for software. And then the vision and technology. This is a lecture from Jerry that he gave. Which event was this?
That was in 2018 at the Almost Heaven Star Party. There's a link to the presentation in that also, not just the video. So you can download the presentation and look at it also.
Right. You can also shop right here if you'd like to. And of course, we have more. We have blog posts there. So this is the page that's going up any day now. But everything's linked to this, and I think that you might enjoy that.
Hopefully, it'll make it easier for people to find. It's a one,
Yeah.
you know, main page, and everything's at the top. So
This is the latest Sky and Telescope magazine. It's the November issue, and we felt it was important to get it into the November issue because we're doing some stuff that Jerry will talk about. But this is what the new ad looks like. It's talking about the iXOS 100. And one of the things that we point out is that it's got both Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connectivity. And there's something called Explore Stars 2 that's there. And so Jerry can cover that. But that was, Explore Stars 2 was born purely out of the OpenGOTO community by a volunteer, and which is really cool. And so we're getting close to all of that stuff at this point.
So the key thing about Explore Stars 2, I'll just mention it, is the fact that it's going to run on the iPhone and the Android phone, which people have been asking
Not
forever.
just tablets, but on the phones.
On the phone and tablets, right? And it's a new
And
updated
tablets.
it's a new updated interface too that we're not showing in the magazine or in the ad right now, but it's a new innovative interface that improves on what we have right now.
Well,
that people like a lot. People like
there is a
Explore Stars a lot.
there's a screenshot. I don't know how well you can see that, but there's a screenshot that shows kind of the new format of it, and that's actually taken from Explore Stars 2. But at the time that we put that ad together, the developer was still kind of tweaking with the homepage and stuff like that. So, but it is, it's now at the stage where it's being uploaded to, it'll be soon be on the Apple Store and the Google Android store as well.
Yep.
Now you can use Explore Stars 2 on all the older systems, correct?
Yeah, everything's backward compatible. We're not going to orphan any of our equipment or our customers. We don't want to, we want to make everything backward compatible for all your stuff. Now, the hardware, the original hardware, for the G11 and the Exos 2 has a couple of features that are deprecated, but it's a minor thing. It's the way the ST4 port was designed that's really the only major hardware change. The other change going forward that we're doing is we're updating our Wi-Fi communications module to handle Bluetooth.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we have new Bluetooth capabilities. We're still working on that, but next year you'll be able to use your iPhone with Bluetooth with the PMC8 next year.
Or Wi-Fi, depending on how
Or Wi-Fi, right?
you want to use it. I hear some people like Wi-Fi better than Bluetooth, and I hear the opposite. I don't know which one actually has a greater range. It might be Wi-Fi. Is that
I think
right?
Wi-Fi does, yeah. And now the way the modules work in the PMC8, they use the same antenna system. So it'll be interesting to see what the range will actually be. I think the limit is if you have low power Bluetooth, low power system, then you're not going to get near the range that you get with Wi-Fi. But you can get a Wi-Fi range depending on your local traffic of 200 to 300 feet pretty easily.
Yeah.
So I don't expect Bluetooth will be available or will broadcast that far, but at least
I think that
at least 20 or 30 feet.
More than like 50 feet or something.
Yeah, right. So that's new coming up. And this is the first time we've talked about it, I think, to anybody.
Yeah, I think we've sort of hinted about it for a while.
Well, people have been expecting an iPhone app, and we've been telling people, yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it.
That's right.
And it may seem like a long time coming, but we've got a lot of stuff doing.
Simple matter of programming, isn't it?
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's right. SMOP.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Takes a while to do. It's
right.
Not easy. Not easy.
Well, especially when you're dealing with newer technologies or new devices that are just released. We're trying to push the we don't want to be bleeding edge, but we want to be reliable and forward thinking and provide plenty of margin for performance. So that's kind of our goal. We don't want to, we don't want to create things that are going to be problems because they're too soon to release. We want to make things reliable.
Yes, reliability is very, very important. Here, I'm going to give you guys the URL for the new PMC8 homepage, which we're calling it the PMC8 homepage right now, but that may drop off, and it'll just the URL may shorten up a bit as we go to. That will be our main page to go to for all things PMC8, but you can take a look.
It'll just be just /PMC-8 is what it'll end up being.
I think that's what it'll end up being. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys happen to see something that you think is wrong or something, please report that back to us, and we can make those corrections. But we've looked at it until we're kind of bleary-eyed, and so
we are. You can expect some updates over the next year or two. Also on the way we structure our website. You can expect that also. I think we're in the planning stages of revamping at least the PMC8 material, but also other things. I think you'll like it once we get it released next year.
Mm-hmm.
So let me go back to the software downloads. So when you click on that one link for the downloads that Scott showed you on the new page, you'll come to this page, and this is one of the pages that will be updated before too long. But when you scroll down, you'll see the Explore Stars section here, and then you'll scroll down further, gives you some information about the system, and then you'll see this link, this section here, updated PMC8 Universal Firmware Kit. Now this is the latest and greatest. Okay, we still have posted, let me scroll down past here. We still have posted the individual downloads for the previous firmware, okay, and the configuration manager. And then we have these other Ascom drivers, a separate download for the previous version of the driver. But we've basically at the very top with this kit, everything's bundled together. You get the new firmware, you get the new Ascom driver, you get the configuration manager, which is the same as the one that's linked separately, and then you get the new configuration tool, the Universal Firmware configuration tool. That's all bundled in this link right here. The updated Universal Firmware software installation kit. That's a mouthful.
Yes.
Without even saying the version.
Right, which makes it a double mouthful.
Right. So you click on that. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate this. So you click on that, and then see up here in the corner, how well you can see that. Download.
Book Davies says, till your Bluetooth in the face.
Yeah.
And then Jenny wants to know, would Bluetooth capability be a hardware or software upgrade to existing PMC8 systems? The answer is no. If you don't have the Bluetooth electronics in the mount, no. But all the other feature improvements that we will have that would also work if you had a Bluetooth system,
right?
You'll have access to all of that.
Yeah, that is one of the items. That's one of the upgrades that you have to purchase a new mount with the Bluetooth capability, and we'll be announcing those versions of the mounts before too long. Once we get the Bluetooth working and be able to sell them with the Bluetooth capability turned on.
Right.
So I've downloaded the installation kit. I'm going to open that file. Guess I want to. Come on. There it is. Let me, I'm going to stop my
While you're
share and share my.
demonstrating that, Jerry, I am going to get some water because I'm thirsty.
Okay,
I'll be right
I'm
back.
going to open up my whole desktop so you can see. All right, so hopefully you can see that where I've got the zip file that I just downloaded. And you can see it's got several files. Got the EEPROM, I don't know, hopefully you can read that. The EEPROM file, which is the firmware. And I'll show you another way to get the firmware also. We get the PMC Configuration Manager utility, which is the older program that Chris Moses wrote that we will show here in a minute. We've got the updated configuration tool version 1.1. And the firmware is also version 1.1. You can see it there. I've got a file that talks about the features, that tells you and instructions on how to do this, what I'm showing you today. And then we have the driver, which is also the updated driver for this firmware. So the first thing I'm going to do is you can extract this out and put it in a directory where you like, or leave it in the downloads directory. But the first thing you do when you get this kit, after you've powered up your PMC8, which I've got powered up already, and just to show you guys, I'm going to bring up my camera on my desk to show you what I've got here. All right, so this is the PMC8 that I'm connected to and powered up with my power supply here. That's the one I'll be demonstrating. It's like the G11 or the XS2 box. I do have an XS 100 here also, but I'm using this as a demonstrator right now. So first thing you want to do is to update the firmware. You can do it in two different ways. So the first way, bring this up. That's right. Is to use the, oh, that's not the right one. Where is my, there it is. All right, so it's very important that this is the 103 version. You can see it down here, version 1.0.3. The version 1.0.4 was the test version, but it's got a bug in it, which keeps you from installing the firmware correctly. So you have to use the 1.03. So when you click on the configuration manager utility, it'll pop this up. And what you want to do, there's two ways to do the firmware. The first way, which is the easiest way, is to click on the firmware tab and you hit the download. And what it does is it goes to our website, which is the link is up here, and downloads the zip file and extracts it so that you can select the correct version of the firmware. And right now we've got all these different older versions of the firmware that are available that are in the release notes talking about it. But the one you want to get, this is the very latest one, is this one, the 20A01.1 file. Okay. And when you select that, then you can hit view readme. And you can see it's a simple text file, and it talks about this version that was released in August 1.1. And so that's for your information if you're interested in looking at that. The next thing you want to do is go ahead and hit flash selected. So you select one you want. Two ways, and this is the one I suggest you get, the 1.1, and then you hit flash selected. and then it will give you a warning about it. Say, okay. And tell you it'll take a few moments. And you said, okay. And then it'll come up and run the process to update the firmware on the box. And then here you can see there's some messages that tells you what the status of the download is, and it successfully loaded the firmware and verified it. You can see here, right there. Those are the messages you're looking for. And the other thing to keep in mind is it found the propeller or the PMC8 on COM5. So that's the current communications port that it's connected to on my machine. It could be different for yours.
Mm-hmm.
So once you've done that, then you're done. That's it. The other way to do it is to go to the advanced tab. This is a little harder, and you can do other manual things here, but you've got this section here where you can go out and, let's say you've extracted this file and you got this EEPROM file sitting out there somewhere. Now you can go on the advanced tab, select this little ellipsis button to go out, and it'll pop up directory view, and then you can go select the firmware wherever the heck you have it loaded. All right, so I've got it here. So then you can do the same thing that you just did. We just did. Select the file, you open it. It takes a minute for that to, and then it shows up there, and then you can upload the EEPROM, and it'll do the same process we just showed. I'm not going to do it again.
Would it, if you did do it again, would it just override it? Or?
It would just override it. You can do it as many times as you want. You can go back and forth between different versions, and it doesn't break anything. It may not work, but it doesn't break the box or anything like that.
Let's say that you had I don't know, some sort of interruption or something like that, and not all of the code loaded. Can you just go back in and do it again, and it would overwrite whatever was there?
So let's say the worst case that would happen is that, let's say you're in the middle of that process, you got those messages up where it's sitting there burning, and you turn the power off. Okay, or you lose power to the box.
Okay, could happen.
It knows that when it boots up that it did not complete the bootloader.
Okay.
When it boots up again, it says, well, I've got an uncompleted download. I'm going to toss that out and boot up the previous version that's still in the box, basically.
Oh, it keeps a version.
So it keeps it until it gets the complete, until it verifies it. You know, it's gonna throw it away.
Nice.
So that's not a problem. I don't know if we've ever heard anybody have a problem with that. Really, truthfully, I've never tested that extreme type of situation. But I know that's how it works because of the way the propeller chip is designed. So once you've done the firmware, you can close this program, and then you can open up the configuration tool, okay, which is this right here. So I'm going to restart it so you can see what it looks like from scratch here. And there's a button to actually do the restart because it pops up this attention. And what this is telling you is that you need to start the program after you connect to the computer. So you want to power up the PMC8 with your cable before you start this program, is basically what it's saying. And then this is how it starts, and this gives you instructions. And again, it says connect the host computer first, then apply power, then start and restart. So if you haven't done it, let's say, for example, I don't have my PMC8 turned on. I forgot to turn it on when I started this program. Oh, okay. So I'll reach over and power it up, and now I know it's powered, and then you can get back to it by hitting restart. And then now you know that it's up. Now you know it'll just restart the program. It's up. It's powered up. So now you know it's good to go. You've already done steps A, B, and C. Right. So now the next thing you need to do is hit the COM port. We know it's COM port 5 from the previous firmware download. It told us what COM port it was. So now you know it's COM 5. So now what you want to do, if you've gotten it fresh from the factory and you do a get current configuration, it should tell you what the mount is configured for, and it should match what you bought, right?
Right.
There's
a comment and a question here. Robert Weiss, watching on Facebook, says, thanks, Jerry, for the updates. And he's going to try and download and update the system later. Jenny Bedell Shelley is asking, do you first want to connect to the mount with a COM port, or is this not needed anymore?
No, to do the firmware update, that's a good question, because I'm going to show something here in a second. To do the firmware update, you need a cable. You need to use a serial port connection. They can't do it over the Wi-Fi. So you do need to use that. And actually, I've got a view of, you got the G11 or the Exos 2. This is the cable that's available to use to do the update for the firmware.
Mm-hmm.
That's available on our website, and it works very well. The nice cable. It's got the FPDI chipset, which is very important. So anybody that hasn't bought a cable yet, I know that a lot of people have Prolific chipset cables. The Prolific is not reliable or as reliable. I know some people have gotten them to work in some instances, but again, it's not a recommended cable chipset for doing the PMC8 system. So I'll say that. So let's see here.
Eduardo Simone thinks that Jenny is asking if you need to set it on serial on the configuration manager.
No.
It
automatically knows. So that's the other thing about this new firmware. Remember, if you're not familiar with the new Universal Firmware, one of the major changes compared to the previous version of all the firmware was that both the wireless and the serial port are available all the time, okay, to connect to. You don't have to switch. You no longer have to switch between serial and Wi-Fi. Just get that out of your head. If you're not familiar with that, that was the 1.0 version of the firmware. And then further to that, on the 1.1 version, we now configure this firmware you can communicate simultaneously with the Wi-Fi and the serial port. So you could actually have two controllers talking to the mount at the same time. One, but it's kind of like having two hands doing the same thing, right? But the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. Now, so that only comes into play if you have two people fighting over the mount, right? If you have one guy running with Explorer Stars and the other guy on the computer trying to use the Ascom.
So you're trying to go west and the other guy's trying to go.
Yeah, the guy, no, and it'll do that. It'll just go back. It'll say, well, I don't know what to do, but I'm following the latest guy. And that's what'll happen.
So the millisecond, the one that's millisecond faster gets the control, I guess.
Yeah, so well, there is a little bit of priority mode. So to get priority mode back on Explorer Stars after it's gone over to the Ascom driver, you have to do two steps instead of just one. If you're doing if you're controlling it with the Ascom driver, as soon as you tell the mount to do anything, it's got priority control. If you're on the Explorer Stars and you try to take over, you have to go to manual and then back to point mode. You have to slew to if you want to slew to an object, you have to go to manual first, and then you go back to slew to the object, which goes to point mode. So that's like the only difference.
The west button making it move.
Right. You can test. Yeah. Press any of the up, down, left, right button.
And
that'll
then
go to
get
manual.
the priority back, you punch in an object and then it let it go
Right.
to that. I see.
Right. That's right. So, but that'll be fun to play with and try to break. I'm sure people are out there banging the heck out of the thing, trying to make it
Yes,
break.
that's right. Blow up.
That's if your left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, but of course it's one person running the system, so you'll know. All right, so when you first get since I updated this firmware, all right, and I went and got configuration from scratch, it doesn't know what mount this is. Okay, I'm going to tell it it's a G11, right? And so these are the features that are in the new firmware. These selection buttons here. Track on loss of comms are enabled. So you can basically, if you enable that, that means it'll keep tracking when you disconnect the computer from the mount. It'll just keep running. So that's for people that their tablets, they want to shut their tablets off, but they're taking an image.
Yeah.
This next one is a cool feature, run on boot enabled. So run on boot means that you don't have to connect anything up to the mount. You can just set it out in your yard.
Really? No tablet? No
tablet, no nothing.
Nothing.
You can do a physical polar alignment, plop it down in your yard, do a physical polar alignment.
You just turn it on?
And then turn it on and it'll track just like an old legacy, old-fashioned mount.
That's cool.
That you can move and then you can move your telescope around to different objects and it'll track it.
So if I'm just going to, let's say, go chase an eclipse, okay? I don't need all the other computer control, right? I just need something that's going to track.
Right.
So that would be great. It'd be easy.
Yep. It's easy to use. It's easy for outreach.
Easy for outreach. That's right.
If you know what you're looking at, if you know things in the sky, you just move.
If you know the sky.
Yeah. If you use your scope manually to the object, then you find it and then it'll just track.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. That's a neat feature.
Having GOTO also is wonderful for outreach people because a lot of times we set up, I do sidewalk astronomy a lot and, seeing something that's fainter against streetlights is really tough, because you can't understand where the constellations are. So star hopping is very difficult in an urban environment, and GOTO technology, it can go and find M13, which you can see in the city. It can go and find M31, which you can see in the city.
Right.
So I've seen, I did a star party one time in Central Park, and it's hard to imagine. I guess maybe Las Vegas is more light polluted than New York is, but not by much. I was really impressed by what you could see, even with a modest aperture telescope from the city. But the only way I could have found that stuff at that time was with the GOTO system.
Right.
Book Davey says PMC8 is more attractive all the time.
That's our goal, is to keep making it better and solving issues for enemy. And early on when we released the PMC8, of course, there was a lot of decisions made on what we could handle in terms of features, and we wanted to get the thing to work, and we wanted to work well before we started adding a bunch of stuff onto it, right? So that was
right
kind of why we did that. But now we're able to fine tune, and I want to do a great shout out to Wes McDonald. He basically spearheaded this updated firmware project that we started actually almost a year ago, back in October. And we did the beta test for the first release in April. But it was a good 5 to 6 months of work to get it available, to get it done. And it works very well now.
When did Wes join the OpenGOTO community? So
I've been working with Wes for at least 2 years. I met him at the Almost Heaven Star Party where I'm at right now, right?
Yeah.
And back in 2000 and 2018, I guess it was.
Okay.
Yep. So that's when he bought my first ED127 I bought from you in 2010. He bought it from me.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's cool.
Yep. So he's still got that scope. It's still being used. He loves it.
Wonderful.
Mhm. But so Wes is a great help, and I'm sure everybody knows him on the forum. He helps a lot of people on the forum. He's done a lot good service for us there too. But he likes working on this stuff. He's a retired electrical engineer. He's got his PhD in electrical engineering, so he's pretty sharp. He knows his
Oh, yeah.
stuff.
He knows his stuff. That's true.
He's helped me a lot. He's a great peer for me to question what I'm doing, right? So early on in the process, I was working by myself, and there was, it's hard to get things right the first time without having any kind of reviewers. And he's helped
And you
us a
were
lot.
lonely. I remember.
Yeah, yeah,
He was
like
lonely.
like the Maytag repairman.
Yeah.
Not quite.
Right. He was sitting there with that little hat on and stuff, and
Right, exactly.
like he's wearing right now.
Right.
So.
So back to the
Dad
features.
Frequency watching on YouTube says he needs a GOTO badly. We are starting to get GOTO mounts back in stock, so I can tell you that. We received more of the IXS 100s recently, and so we're filling back orders, and soon we'll have more G11s in stock. And I think we have Exos 2 PMC8 also filling back orders right now. In fact, I know so because Cameron Gillis got his.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So if you select, let's say we select this run on boot feature, we want to turn that on. And let's say we want to change the Wi-Fi channel number to, I don't know, 11. Okay.
Okay.
So now we're going to set the new configuration. So you use this button to set these values. Okay. Right now, I've updated the values. So this is the new stuff that's going to be in there. It doesn't show the current one, right? Even though that says it. Actually, I need to update this flag. So as soon as you change any of these values here, that it would update and says updated or desired configuration is what this would show instead of current. So anyway, I'm going to set the new configuration. All right. So it sends the configuration string, which I know looks like cryptic stuff, but it's actually a great tool for troubleshooting to show it on the event screen here. And it's sitting there. It takes about 20 seconds for it to reboot and say that it's done. So as soon as you get this message back, again, that shows it got the configuration. That's what the ESG command is, a get information. Then now it's up, and then you look at the box and you see the PMC8 lights flashing like normal. It's ready to go. So now, if you want to verify it, you can go reboot. Okay, so this will send a reboot command to the PMC8, and it tells you it's rebooting. And then this takes a few seconds, and then it'll come up and give you the splash screen. All right, and it'll give you the updated configuration. And you can look at the nice display here that shows the configuration flags and the values, or you can look at the actual text in the message here that actually shows you the same stuff. Okay, so see, a continuous track with no comms is true. Run on boot, P5 running. So those are, and then the Wi-Fi channel. Where's the Wi-Fi? Right here. The Wi-Fi channel is now 11. So when it boots, it shows you that information, and also in here. So that's how you can update the configuration on the PMC8. One other thing you can do, which is very helpful, if you run into a problem where you need to adjust your worm or your wheel on your mount, they go out of adjustment every once in a while. Then you may need to adjust the mesh where it starts to drag And it's not going to hurt the mount controller or anything. It just makes noise and it doesn't track, or it doesn't slew is what, when you discover it, is that the binding, it binds or something. To temporarily get over that, this is one of the features. To get over that temporarily, let's say it just started doing it in the middle of a session, right? Oh man, I got to go adjust my gears, but I don't want to do it now. I want to finish up my astrophotography. You can go here, you can adjust the motor current for the mount. You can actually increase the motor current, and that'll give you a little extra power to get over that. So one of the things you want to do first is to look at the motor current limits. All right. So this tells you what your setting limits are for your mount type, the G11 in this case. So I can go between 600 milliamps and 1300 milliamps. Okay. Which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So now let's say I'm having a problem slewing. I want to bump it from 900 up to, let's say, 1100 to see if that bumps it. So now I'm going to set new configuration and go back and do its thing. Like I said, it takes about 20 seconds for it to install and reboot. Oh, there it is. It's done. So now let me reboot it and you can verify. That tells you that it's been changed. But to really verify it, you can reboot the system and you can look at the motor currents here. And you can see here it's set to 1100. Now, this is a feature also. Let's say you're usually run it powered up with an AC adapter, right, at 1100. And you want to go to battery and you want to extend the life of the battery, and you got the mount tuned up to where it's not going to be an issue if you lower the motor current. So you can actually lower the motor current for slewing down to, like, let's say you want to put it down from 900 to 800. You can do that also and save some battery, or even 700 maybe. So you can make that change.
That's really, I mean, very handy. If you're out at a star party, you don't have another battery or another power source, you can throttle that back down just so you can keep running,
Right, exactly. So to see what your range is, you hit this show motor current limits, and that'll give you the limits for the settings, and that applies to both the slew and the track current values. So that's pretty much it. Once you've done that, you're communicating with the PMC8. You know it works. You've rebooted it. Your cable works good. Now you're ready to install the Ascom driver. We have time. I think I can get this done before the top of the hour.
Before coffee hour?
The top of the hour.
Oh, the top of the hour, because I'm already having coffee hour.
Oh yeah, right. Exactly.
We got a global star party tonight. I gotta stay awake.
Oh yeah, right. So let me go back to that folder. See if I can find it. And I'm going to run this program here. It's called PMC8 Ascom driver setup. I'm going to turn that on, or click on it, I should say. I'm going to just run it. And you'll run into this. We don't have a certificate to sign our driver, so it's going to detect that. It doesn't know who published it, but you downloaded it from our website, so you know it's good. You're going to say run anyway. You trust us.
That's right.
And then the screen probably went black because it'll come up and ask you, is it okay to run? It'll pop that up, and then it'll come back to this license, and then the license agreement. This is an open source license agreement, because in the driver you can after you get past the user information, you can actually install the source code on your computer, and you can take a look at it. So it's open.
Nice.
So I'm not going to do that. I don't want to overwrite what I've got out there in the directory right now. So I'm going to hit next, and then you can hit install. And it says setup will now remove the previous version of the driver. Okay. Now, one thing to keep in mind, which is a feature request somebody had already, when you reload the driver, you have to go back and set up your information, and I'll walk through that and show you what to do there. So before you do this, you may want to write down your longitude and latitude and the other information that you want. One other thing that this driver has, if you leave this checked, it'll pop up the new reference manual that I'm still working on. This is the draft one that pops up right now. I'll just show that real quick. Come on.
Come on. It's a whiteout.
You see that?
There we go. Yep.
It's the new PMC8 user reference and programmer's guide. Okay. Now I'm still working on it. This is a draft. But anything anybody would ever want to know about the PMC8 is in here. So I won't dwell on it any further. All right. So now we've just installed the driver. Okay. Actually, let me go back to this. I want to close this file. You look, I've got a ton of crap open here. I'm trying to find the.
So Estelle something on Facebook is wanting to know, could someone just do a simple start to finish video of how to load the software? I'm not talking about all the fancy stuff that some of us don't use or understand, just a step-by-step how to download and update of the software. Thanks.
That's what this is. That's what we're doing, right?
So there you go. Yeah.
Now, I have a previous, if you look at the YouTube, look at our Explore Scientific YouTube channel, you'll find another video out there, me walking through the same thing as a separate video, I think.
What we should do, Jerry, for the next program, next Tuesday, we'll find that video and we'll post it.
Okay.
So that you can easily get to it, so we'll tell you where it is and everything. Eduardo Simone says, just add your bank account. It's
so
free.
The
software is free.
Right. So the last thing I want to do is show how to set up the Ascom driver. All right. And I'm using the POTH controller to demonstrate that. So you'll choose the scope, and then you'll hit setup. And this is the interface you'll come up with. And of course it's blank, brand new. So you have to tell it, what mount do I have? Oh, I've got the Losmandy G11. I'm going to connect via the serial port. So right there, you have to select serial port. And I know that I'm on COM5. Okay. So that's how you set that page up. And you don't have to worry so much. The wireless port is basically the default values work fine. There is one change you have to make if you've got a IXOS 100 mount, then you need to change the Wi-Fi module. But otherwise you don't. The site data is really the main page that you want to change. You want to change your whatever you want to call it. The longitude and latitude in decimal format, and make sure if you're west longitude, you have to put minus the longitude. So for me, it's minus 77.7106. And then my latitude is 38.3331. And some programs require this telescope information, but typically you can leave it just like it is. It doesn't matter. You've got some configuration parameters for the pulse guiding functionality that's in the Ascom driver. That's a little more advanced. I won't go into that. And then the other thing, if you're trying to troubleshoot a problem and we talk to you about an issue that you might be having, it's good to know that under the miscellaneous tab, you can turn the trace on, which is basically an event recorder for every transaction that occurs on the Ascom driver. Whenever the mount or whenever your computer sends a command to the mount and its response is recorded in a file, and that helps us understand what's going on with the system. So you might want to turn that on if we're trying to troubleshoot a problem, but otherwise, that's all there is to the setup. So now you get okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and we'll see if I can connect to the scope, see if this works. Yep, and there it is. Now, to go one step further, for people that have planetarium programs, I use cart to seal. I'm going to go ahead and start cart to seal. And connect. There it is. I'm going to connect to the mount. And the way you do that is you select the driver, and we're going to select to the path because the path is what's connected to the mount, and that the path allows you to connect multiple programs to the mount at the same time. So that's why we have that. So I'm going to go ahead and connect to the path.
Okay.
And it's tracking. It's not parked. If it was parked, this would be red on cart to seal. So now I'm going to go ahead and do something fancy here that I haven't done in a while. I'm going to go to the camera view. You see that? Oh, when it comes back. All right, see here?
Okay.
I've got my test equipment hooked up. So this is showing the frequency that it's driving the mount at in terms of the motor pulses. So this is how I know how, when I set the values for tracking rates, I can measure that value. That's what this is showing. And and these are the two motors, okay, that are hooked up to the PMC8. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to slew them out to an object, and then you can see these motors turn when I do that. So I'm just going to pick an object out here. I don't care where it is. Let me see. I'm going to pick alpha Ophiuchus. And I'm going to go telescope, slew. Oh, see the motors? And you can see the mount on the planetarium. You can see the position of the mount.
Right.
So that's kind of cool. So this is real life. This is not fake or anything.
It's not fake.
Not fake.
That's good.
That's almost there. There it is.
There we go.
Let me zoom up on it. Let me center it. And I'll zoom up and you can see how precise the positioning is. Let me go to 30. All right, so this is a 1 arc minute circle.
That's pretty good. That would pretty much put it on the chip of almost any camera.
Yeah, it will. With the mechanics and everything all involved, you can pretty much out of the box position and pointing is within 5 arc minutes or so.
Right.
All right, so that's all I have.
So Estelle is saying she's had her mount for almost a year and hasn't been able to use it. Most other companies put out videos showing you how to use their products. Wonder if your customer service could do one. Estelle, we can do one better. We can actually get on your computer and do the install remotely. So, so if you would like to, I can make that arrangement for you. Why don't you send me a text message with I'll give you my mobile phone number right now. Okay. And you can send me a text message with ways to contact you, and I'll arrange that. And that's my phone number, 949-637-9075. Be happy to make that happen. Jerry and I have actually done this live on the air before. Okay. So it's pretty straightforward. But sometimes there's a configuration issue on a particular computer or a tablet or something like that doesn't seem immediately obvious. And, we can troubleshoot those kinds of things.
I'm sorry you haven't had use of your
Yeah, it's a long
account for a
time.
year. That's a long time. Yeah.
A long time. Yeah, you should, there's, if you run into situations like that in the future, with anything from Explore Scientific, don't
hesitate.
Get yourself into a frustration point. Contact us. We're happy to take care of you. So
yes, yep, exactly. And if you haven't done it already, join our forum for the system. If you want to post that link real quick, Scott.
I'll do that.
That's a great resource. We have, I was just looking at the numbers today. We've got almost 700 current members on the site, but we've got a turnover rate. So we've had, since we founded the forum, we've had over 1,000 members join. Some of them have left for various reasons, of course, but we hover around 650 to 700 members all the time. And there's a good, at least 20 members on there that are great at helping anybody. And we're on there too. We monitor the forum fairly regularly. So we're out there I'll give my 2 cents worth in. I'll typically watch and see how the community responds. And then if needed, I'll jump in also and add my 2 cents.
So I just posted the link to the groups.io PMC8 forum there.
Great. So I know this was about a 45 or 50-minute video, right? Walking through all these things. We could probably cut this up into 2 or 3 sections and then maybe post that as separate videos. I don't know how we could do that.
It's pretty easy to do. So we will do that. Okay. Any other questions from the audience?
Yeah, I hope this is helpful. I hope she gets her mount working based on what we've walked through today. She can go back and watch it.
You could go back and watch it and take it slow, but again, you get stumped for whatever reason. We're able to connect with you on Zoom, and then you can hand off control of your computer, and we can be there just like we were right over, sitting beside you. So.
Yep.
Book Davey says, "What's for supper, Grandpa?"
What's for supper? Yeah.
How about vegetarian burritos? Does that sound good?
Got the country fried steak and green beans and carrots.
Well, we Explore Scientific is right across the street. Actually, our parking lots connect.
Oh yeah, right.
Cracker Barrel. So
Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel definitely has the green beans and all those southern fried delicacies are right there.
Right.
So that's right. And with a country store. So
that's right.
Anyhow, thanks for watching, everybody. Coming up at 7 p.m. Central, which is just slightly less than 2 hours from now, we will have the 63rd Global Star Party. This one, the theme of this is Stardust. And, being that, modern science tells us that, the iron in our blood, the calcium in our teeth, all these things were formed in the cores of stars. And, that is our theme. And that theme was picked by Deepti Gautam. And Deepti is a high school student, finishing high school anyways, in Nepal, and she's a very active member of the Nepal Astronomical Society, also called NASO, and she is our special guest host. She has a lineup of speakers from Nepal. It's going to be very cool. Of course, some of your favorites that are on Global Star Party all the time are going to be there, including David Levy, David Eicher from Astronomy Magazine, people like Cameron Gillis, who do the Camstronomy program with us, and many more. So Maxi Falaris will be there from Argentina. Adrian Bradley also will be with us. He's up here in the United States, but towards the upper regions, so he does a lot of Milky Way photography. It's going to be very cool. I hope you join us, and it'll be on the platform you're watching right now. So we'll see you in, like I said, a little bit less than 2 hours from now. Thanks, and keep looking up, guys.